Yeah, and my complaint to the industry is the industry does not present things that way to their customers, and it is a disservice.
So I'm back with Steven Semple here in Sticky Sales Stories, and last week I told everybody we're going to do something a little different, and so we're going to do something slightly. We're not going to be showing an ad or talking about anything like that. What I wanted to lean into, Steve, is we just onboarded a new client recently, and we were going to do a billboard campaign for them. And you had a really awesome idea of what you had in mind, and we don't have permission to talk about the specifics. I'm gonna be a little bit of aloof, but it's gonna get me to my point. You had a very specific idea what you wanted the visual to look like for the campaign. Jay Mystery and I, we got started banging our heads against the wall. And then when we got our creative juices flowing, we went to work and we came up with something that we thought was really...
Drinking and cursing me.
We've got like a chat thread where you're the only one not on it, just talking shit about you. We finally came up with an idea. We presented it to you. And in that presentation, you brought up context. So context is the key thing that Jay and I were able to do, but you brought it up where you were like, oh man, I'm so glad you showed me in that way so that you could see whether something worked. And we made a slight change based on context. So let's talk about the whole message of this one is going to be context is key. So where you see things, where they're being heard is really super important when you're deciding what kind of messaging you're putting into the world or what the final creative is going to look like. So let's go.
Okay. So my two favorite examples I can give on this is how people review. Let's first of all talk about how people review visuals. And my favorite example is trade show booths and truck wraps. The person does the design, they show it to you, you're looking at it on your computer, lots of white space around it, you're looking at that and you're focusing on that, and there's no people in the way and no distractions, and you pick your trade show booth. Meanwhile, look, I was at a trade show recently where all the print was at knee level. So though they had two people in front of their freaking trade show booth, you couldn't read it. Truck wraps. How often do you see truck wraps where the most important thing, your URL, is low and small? As soon as there's a vehicle in front of it, you're not going to see it. This is context. Where is that going to live in the world? You and I on trade show booth, I remember one of the first projects I did with you, we created a trade show booth that was boring. It was dark. Oh. But it worked because I knew
you on that trade show booth.
You fought me. But what I knew was you were going to a big splashy trade show booth in Vegas. And so what was everybody going to be? Bright, bold. And not only that, huge booths. Huge. And you had a little 10 by 10. How do you stand out in that?
Yeah.
You stand out by recognizing if everything is really bright and colorful, black stands out. If everything is noisy, quiet stands out.
Correct.
Right? Context. But until you understood that context, radio ads. When our clients review radio ads, here's what they do. They sit down in their office, they put their headphones on, they get a good quality speaker and they play it. I'm like, that's not how it's heard.
Ever.
Don't listen to it in the car. And not only that, it's sandwiched between two ads, right? Like we have one, Seaside Plumbing. If you just listen to the ad, it sounds one way. If you listen to the ad in that ad block, it totally stands out because they always start with, meanwhile, it's Seaside Plumbing. Now imagine that. Hurry in this weekend, supplies limited, 50% off. Meanwhile, at Seaside Plumbing.
Exactly.
Meanwhile, at Seaside Plumbing, Josh answers a call from Lauren.
Thanks for choosing Seaside Plumbing. How can we help?
Well, I have this really annoying leak that keeps dripping in my bathtub. It's keeping me up at night, and I've asked
Lauren, is that you?
As I was saying, I've asked my husband a whole bunch of times to take a look at it.
Okay, Lauren, very funny. You know I will get to it.
But he just keeps telling me that he'll get to it. Anyway, I was wondering if you have any plumbers available.
Lauren, honey, I am a plumber.
Any plumbers at all. Anyone that can come out today.
You know we have plumbers standing by for same-day service, but I'll be home.
Oh, perfect. That would be great.
Fine, you win. As soon as I get home, I will fix the leak.
See, Josh, that wasn't so hard, was it?
You're right. It needs to get done. Consider it my New Year's resolution.
Wait, wasn't it last year's resolution too?
Gotta go. Another call coming in.
In a sea of ordinary, choose extraordinary. Visit SeasidePlumbers.com. Licensed in Delaware and Maryland.
It would be this weird pattern interrupt that you cannot ignore because of context. far too often when we're thinking about our advertising campaigns and reviewing them, we'll think about, is this reaching our audience? Okay, fine. But what is the mindset and what is going on and what are the other things happening in their world at the time that that ad is hitting? That very much impacts how you want to present that ad.
We feel very passionately about specific things in marketing, and we go toe to toe with some of our clients because they really need to understand why we stand apart in the way we do marketing versus the next guy. But I remember when I first became a Wizard of Ads partner, I started working for an account that we weren't doing any of the visual creatives for. We were just writing radio and television commercials. I say just because, simple. And so, but we were doing all the offline media, and so they were getting their trucks rewrapped and updating their logo. One of my partners said, like, hey, Matthew came into the Wizard of Ads as a graphic artist. That's how he started in his career. And so he can help guide some of that stuff from the perspective of how we look at marketing, which I thought was one of my favorite projects to work on, because I got to challenge we were working with a very big, I'm not going to talk name, but a very big graphic arts company. They do a lot within the home services world and rebranding and truck wraps, that sort of thing. And I had to challenge them on their thought process because they kept fighting against, and this is the terminology used, the white truck syndrome. So they didn't care about perspective and context. They just cared that it was going to be against white trucks. Well, sorry, 2019, the white truck syndrome doesn't exist. Unless you're a truck in a truck, every brand has a wrap truck. Every brand has a wrap truck. And every wrap truck is colorful and 15 different layers. It's got a character on it. And it's just beautiful design. Arguably, we could say one or two things, but it's beautiful design. Lots of work going in to make it look beautiful, except for now you've got 5 of those in the market.
Right.
That have 5 or 6 or 8 colors. So you can't avoid with having a couple of colors that are the same. They put phone number, website, slogan, license number, like all sorts of data on it. And then how big can you make that happen? So just these big, massive blurs as far as I was concerned. And the only thing I asked them to do with my client was do me a favor and have the truck be one color. I don't care what the color is. The brand color that they choose, that's fine. I'm not gonna lean into one. The brand color. And don't put a gimmicky character on it. That's it. That was only 2 things I said, and then go nuts. And that was my entire thing, because for them to stand out in their market, they needed to be simpler.
Yeah, because the character and the color and things used to stand out, and then suddenly when everybody's got character and color, it doesn't stand out anymore. You now got to go a different direction.
Exactly. And we fight for one customer in any market. We fight for one, and I'm going to make sure mine is standing out above everybody else.
Right.
So that's the way that works.
But it's that idea of context, like billboard. I'm driving in my car. Radio ad. I'm listening to it inside of a radio block, probably when I'm commuting. Like
kids are in the car.
Kids are in a trade show booth. There's going to be lots of other things around me. Is it a 1-day trade show or is it a 4-day trade show? I would design the booth differently on those 2 things because the interaction with the booth is different. Like I've done ones where we've known it's a 4-day trade show booth. And we designed the booth in such a manner where I've told the customer, you're not going to get traffic day 1. The longer this trade show goes, the more traffic you're going to get because we built heavy curiosity into it. And eventually that curiosity gets broken down and the person's like, I got to come. Okay. All
well,
right.
Quite literally, I mean, let's we can talk about this. So quite literally, that's what happened with our stuff. So you had asked me because I had hired the Wizard of Ads before I was a Wizard of Ads partner, and I had hired you guys, and you said, hey, listen, this year when you're at the trade show down in Vegas, do me a favor, take a picture of the aisle you're in, of the position that you're in, and everything around you. I want to see it all. You didn't just say, hey, I've got an idea because I think that's going to be the thing. You said, what does the competition look like? And let me see the venue and let me see what the big guys look like. And so we took all that pictures and video and showed you where we were going to be. And then you said, great, for the next show, this is what I want to do because of this, very much strategically decided. And so I took all of that in way back when, and I fought you and I didn't want to do it. And I was like, this is going to be boring and I'm a graphic artist and I want to put my skills to use. How dare you not let me make things curvy and have depth and there's gradients? I want to do gradients. Let me do gradients. And then we do this very simple black background with a question on it. And that was it. And it was high curiosity. The show sucked for day one. It sucked. It was terrible. And I was like, and my boss was there. He's like, what did you let the wizards do? This is terrible. I said, hold please. And then we
They
noticed
warned us day one would be terrible.
They warned us. And day two, we saw people start to like walk twice or three times around the booth. And eventually people got curious enough to ask the question that was actually posed to them. What's wrong with this shingles, a metal roofing company? And people started asking the question. Then they got in. Now we were engaging. Well, that engagement brought more people who saw that this booth was full. And so it took a little while, but the curiosity of that first couple, Brian Brushwood talks about this a lot, where he talks about gifting and harvesting. So giving a gift of curiosity to then harvest by asking people, hey, listen, can we give you more data, right? And so he does this with his magic act. And you guys did, I mean, I never talked to Brian Brushwood at that point. I don't even know if you guys met him by that point or knew that story about how he draws people in on a street show. So it's a brilliant use of how do you own the mind before they know what you're about. And I loved all of that. Anyway, so context is massive.
Yeah. So, but that's another part of context is context. Do I have a high repetition ad? Do I have a low repetition ad? Is it a 1 day show? Is it a 4 day show? All of those things should have an impact. Now, here's the big problem. When people are approving it and looking at it, they're not looking at it in context. So here's a great thing here's just one example of what you can do. So when I'm approving truck wraps, what's one of the first things I do? I'll look out my window and I'll look at approximately, I'll go, okay, on the street from my window, a truck is this size. So I'm going to print it out to this size and look at it because that's how I'm going to see it on the road. I get you guys to do things where you'll put it on a street, right? Because again, there's all sorts of crap in the background. So I've had Jay do it. Was like, let's find a streetscape, put it on the street.
Well, that's what we did.
Right.
Like how I started this thing was what we did is we created a billboard. So it's the same idea. We created a billboard and we put it on 3 different billboard mock-ups. One that would have been right by the street, one that would have been a high, far back off the highway, and one kind of medium and on an angle, so that we could see if we're looking at it from these 3 different perspectives, does the message work?
And from that, we actually repositioned a few things.
We changed things, absolutely.
Especially the one that was high. Remember the one that was high? It's like, ooh, okay, we got to...
we're going to miss that thing that we
around
want.
a little bit.
Exactly. So I would just make sure you're not just doing things that are... Listen, you're probably coming up with some really creative things, or you've asked for stuff and you've gotten back some really creative things. Creativity on its own is fine. Creativity and context is brilliant. Where is it going to be seen? Where is it going to be heard? How is it going to be seen? How is it going to be heard?
Yeah, and my complaint to the industry is the industry does not present things that way to their customers, and it is a disservice.
It 100% disservice. We agree.
Yeah.
We agree.
Yeah.
Okay, so context.
All right.
You think we've got context there?
I think we do.
I think we put context into context. Something like that. Anyway.
Something like that.
Okay, guys. We'll come back with another ad for the next one so we don't get too far off our topic. But if you guys like this kind of stuff, you want to learn more about kind of just the little things that we as marketers and advertisers use so that we get really good stuff out in the world and we do great things for our clients, ask us and we'll come up with some more topics like this. Thanks, everybody.
All right. Thanks, Matthew.
See you, buddy. Ciao.